There we go. Okay. So welcome. Today is Tuesday. Where are we at? We are in November, mid-November. We are still praying and praying that my husband comes home this Saturday. They said, never mind, it's going to be a few days delayed. And so I had a minor meltdown. That same day I had to speak in front of my kids' entire school and accept a flower on behalf of my husband, who's a veteran. And I was like bawling, and all the other men were like, thank you for your service and thank you for the school. And he's like, we just say some words on behalf of your husband. I'm like, right now? I was like, I thought you were going to do it for me. And so I did, and I was totally crying. And then a lady today, the head of the PSO, some committee, said that during me talking and during some of the other Veterans Day things, that like teenagers and high school kids were crying, like boys were crying. And I was like, really? She was just like, talking about how important it is to celebrate veterans and people that serve, and to always make sure, that's really important, that people feel that support and love.
I agree.
And help understand it. So that was good. Okay, so today I will share some thoughts really quick that I had, and then we're going to turn the time over to Megan, and I will introduce her in a minute. But my thought for today had to do with a quote that I read, and I'm going to read it to you. And I've been thinking about it for the past few days. It said, I began to try to live like a tree, she said, who understands that life is filled with seasons and each one has its worth. I stopped fearing the leaves falling away, the bare branches. I understood that spring would come, that summer would come, that it was all a part of my living. That is something I've been thinking about a lot lately. And I talked to a friend this weekend, and we talked about all the hardships that we have in life and all of the things that we've gone through as friends over the past 15 years. And how if we are in it and we feel so far in it that it feels really overwhelming. But if everything that we are in that is hard, we think of as a season, that it's temporary, that this isn't forever, then it helps with our mental process of this is only temporary and I will get through this and I can get through this. And so I love this analogy that it says life is filled with seasons and each one has its worth. That as we get through something, we can reflect back and say, look what I went through. Look how hard that was, but I did it. And that can be applied to everything. That could be applied to school, to marriage, to dating, to being single, to our health, to finances, to literally everything. Everything has a season. Everything has its worth. And to make sure that we value and give reverence to, I would almost say, every part of our lives, because that's what totals up to the end sum. And because of those things, we are able to bless other people. We're able to help other people to have some perspective to somebody who is right in the middle of it, right? I can look at a mom with a newborn, and that was me. I was in there, in that mud for so long, I could not even see the light of day. And now I'm like, dude, I don't even get diapers anymore at Costco. I don't even go to that section of the store. That is a whole new section of life for me. But I can look at that because I went through it, and I can have compassion for those moms, and I can love them. And that goes with different phases of our weight, different phases of our, diets that we all have gone through. For any of you that possibly have done a diet, seasons of working out and taking care of our bodies, and seasons where it really feels heavy and it really feels like a struggle. So I would just encourage you that as you go through whatever season you're in, that you take moments and just really appreciate and give reverence to this hard part. That could be really hard, or if it's good, really give reverence to the beauty in it and to the good in it, and to look for the fact and remember that summer will come. And then it says she found that the hot and the cold could coexist. And I love that it's not all bad and it's not all good, that they can coexist, that there can be hard and beauty in everything that we do. So acknowledge the hard, but always, always look for the beauty. Look for something beautiful every day. Look for a kindness every day. Show a kindness every day. If your life sucks, show more kindness. If you're really going through something rotten, look for 3 extra ways you can serve people and help that balance in our lives. And that's how I feel like we slowly grow, and we kind of contribute to the world and then help ourselves with some perspective. So that's my quick thought for today. Because you guys are beautiful, you are strong, and you are amazing. And I learned so much from you guys. I do. Like, my life, I could look at it and equally sucks and it's equally amazing. Like, this whole last 10 months, that's what I think. Like, I've had like super hard and super bright and hope and daylight equally. And it's been like, if I sit and acknowledge all the hard, I can always go in that hole. But I'm trying to choose to focus on the good, but also recognizing the hard, that this hasn't been like a walk in the park. This hasn't been easy on my family, but that we're okay. You know, we have health, we have so many more things that we are grateful for. Okay. I would like to introduce you to my friend Megan, because she's amazing. She is beautiful. She's strong. And I met her, and she is like a bundle of like fire and hugs and love and smiles. And you will want to have like a dance party and cry with her, because that's the kind of person she is. And these are the kind of friends that I feel like I meet, friends that I would have never normally known. She lives in a place where I have lots of friends, and I have no idea who she is. I would have never known her without this. And so we've become friends. It's fun to go to these events now and see like genuine friendships. And these are friends not because we met in high school, and I mean, I was like the furthest thing from a cheerleader, and she was the cheerleader. You were not. Were you on something? You were not? Who was the cheerleader?
No, but I have a bunch of dancers. But
that's what I'm thinking of. Your daughters are on the dance squad. Anyways.
I was a singer dancer, yeah.
She's got kids. She lives in Vegas, and I'd love for her to share her story, because we learn so much from everybody's journeys and how they were introduced to these products and kind of what it's done for them in their lives.
All right. Before I start, about how long do you want me to talk, Julia?
As long as you want. We've got till 6:30.
All right. Because I can be fairly long-winded, and a few of you on here could probably testify to that. Okay, so I am a mom of 6, and one of my children, hold on. Okay, sorry about that. One of my kids is texting me nonstop, so I had to quickly answer that. I have a kind of a big spread between my kids. So I'm really relating to your example, Julia, about, you know, being in the thick with all the babies and the little kids and toddlers, and then not having to go to the diapers anymore finally. But what's kind of sobering is I had to do diapers and pads at the same time. Teenagers and toddlers. It was not fun. There are a lot of interesting correlations between the two, especially with girls. It's interesting. They cry for no reason. They need added underwear, help, padding. They're really emotional, and they talk nonstop. And yeah, there's a lot of similarities. Anyway, what started me with Plexus is because I had a surprise 6th pregnancy, and it was a time where it was like a really non-ideal time to have another baby. Not that they're, you know, when you're planning these things, not like there's ever an ideal time, but this was definitely not ideal. My husband was traveling all the time. He was also the bishop in our ward at church, which is like the leader of our church. And that takes up a lot of time. And so he would be gone all week, and he'd get home on the weekends, and he would do all this church stuff on the weekend. In the meantime, I am trying so hard to keep things together, and I get sick with every pregnancy, and it just turned me on my ear. I wasn't mentally prepared for it. My oldest was 14, and she was going through something at the time, and I felt like I needed to mentally help her. And then what happened is, instead of me being there to help her, she needed to be there to help me, because I could not do it. I couldn't do it on my own. It was a really trying time. And I figured once I had the baby, it would be better. And it was a little bit better, but it was still very difficult. And I thought, okay, well, as soon as she's out of diapers, as soon as I can like lose this extra baby weight, as soon as she's a little bit more independent, maybe like this is going to go away, it's going to get better. And it really wasn't getting better. Instead, I realized that well, actually I didn't realize how bad it had actually become until I started feeling better. But I'd been watching Lee and Brooke post about Plexus for a while. I had actually tried the products right around the same time Brooke started Plexus, and I was only in it to lose weight, and I didn't lose any weight at the beginning. In fact, I gained weight, and I had a lot of die-off symptoms, but I wasn't being very open. And it wasn't with Brooke, I need to say, because I didn't even know she was taking them at the same time. I did it totally on my own. I didn't want any help. I didn't want anybody to know that I was doing it. I wanted to just secretly see if this could be the answers to all my problems. And it wasn't because I wasn't taking them properly, and I wasn't I just was like following the directions on the bottle, on the back of the bottle. And I know all of us know, do not do that. Don't tell your new ambassadors or your customers to follow the directions on the back of the bottle. I hit a really crazy die off, and I had a headache for, I don't know, almost 3 months. I tried it for 3 months, and the headache never went away. And so I was like, you know what? That's it. I'm out. I didn't lose any weight. I gained weight. I have headache like all the time. This stuff's not good for me. It just doesn't work for me. I'm happy for you, but it's not working for me. So I quit. And then I continued to watch Brooke and Lee have amazing success with it. For 2 years, I watched them. And finally, I was like, okay, I got to try this again and I got to give it a better shot. I have to do it with the help of Lee and Brooke. And I need to go in with it with the expectation that it's healing my body from the inside out. I wasn't so weight driven. The weight wasn't my main issue at that point. I just wanted to feel better, and for digestive reasons. So I joined back up in about 2 weeks, probably not even 2 weeks, probably like 7 or 8 days. I realized that, well, for one, I wasn't napping anymore. I was getting out of bed and doing my whole day routine, and I hadn't like sat down to take a nap. And then I started noticing like this weird feeling, like in here, it was like joy. And I hadn't felt that for a long time. And I was like, what is this? I feel like happy and calm, like, this is interesting. And my kids were calling, my husband was traveling because that's how life was still. And they were calling him and texting him like, something's so weird. Mom is being so weird. She's like happy all the time. And he was like calling me and saying, why are the kids telling me that it's weird that you're happy? So I decided I was going to FedEx him all of this, all that I was taking. And I started out with the Triplex and X Factor, which I feel like was the perfect thing for me to start on. Originally, I tried the Slim for a little bit, and then I added BioCleanse and ProBio 5. But again, I just took the full dose right from the beginning, and I never added X Factor. So I feel like X Factor really was the missing link for me to absorb all the other things I was taking, because I felt good almost immediately the second time. So I FedExed him all of it, and I was like, okay, take this, and this. Take it at this time, and this time. Don't talk back. Don't give me any excuses. Just do it, and I'll talk to you when you get home. And he was like, dang, okay, fine. So he did, and he started feeling so much better really quickly too. He had lots of energy and way better focus. And he was in a training that was 2 weeks long, and just sitting, going to classes and learning going to lectures for all day, every day for 2 weeks. And so he was like, wow, not drinking nearly as much Diet Coke, and I can actually focus and understand, and I'm learning the things that they're telling me. So I feel like the second time around, I had a really good jump start on things. So after the first couple of weeks, I decided this has helped me already so much. I want to do this business. And so I started posting pretty quickly. And I decided that I was going to do it, and I was going to be all in. And it has not been an easy journey. I thought, you start these things out with these really big, grandiose dreams and ideas, and that's really important. I think that's kind of what gets you going, and the excitement is needed. But then you start to realize what it actually entails, and the highs and the lows, and you need to be able to, I just really love the analogy that you gave today, Julia, especially right now for me. We have to know that those leaves can fall off, and that's okay. They'll come back, or new leaves will grow. And so I just think that's a really pretty amazing analogy. Now I'm taking a lot more supplements. I'm still taking the basic, the Triplex and X Factor every day. And then I've added Ease to my regimen. And I'm right now doing the 14-day challenge, which I'm really loving, those shakes. I take Mega X, but I'm not consistent on Mega X, I have to say. I take it as often as I can. But those are the things that I take on a regular basis, and I feel really good. Do you have any questions, or do you want me to say anything else?
Who are the people that you first signed up? Like, who were your accountability partners? Who started with you when you started sharing?
Well, the first few people that joined me were college roommates, and they are still going strong. They haven't really jumped into the business, but they still take the supplements. I think my very first, well, I had some people start sharing at the beginning, but they kind of fell away. So my first real good sharer has been my friend Nadine, who's also my neighbor. She lives just down the street from me. And she joined me in March of this year, I like to say. I think she is my 69th ambassador. And then she started sharing. She's doing amazing. And then Crystal joined me like right after Nadine, and she's my other really good runner. She's also doing the business a lot with me.
And did these people hear about it from Facebook, or how did they hear about the products? From you personally?
I think they saw me posting. Well, Nadine for sure saw me posting, and she watched me for a long time. She said she didn't even like any of my posts for a long time. I reached out to her probably 3-4 times before she actually even responded. One time she just responded with asked for a list of ingredients for one of the supplements, and so I got back to her, and then that was it. Like she didn't continue any conversation with me. That she was like, oh, I was just curious, I wanted to compare it to mine, and thanks but no thanks. So I was like, okay. Crystal works with my husband, who's been one of my best fans and supporters, and so he was the one that was talking to her mostly and got her hooked up with me.
What do you feel like your biggest challenges have been as far as like your own health? Like what was it about your health? So you felt like was it like mood issues, or did you have digestive sleep?
Okay, well, I did kind of skip over this part. I started for my digestive issues. I had IBS, and I was getting more and more sensitive to food. So like anytime I would eat, I would be sick. I would either just feel really crummy, and it would just kind of sit until I'd either go to the bathroom or I would have to throw up. Like it was just one or the other. It never just sat in my stomach and felt good. Anything I was eating at that point. So the second time I joined was for digestive issues. I'd heard at that time, I'd heard a lot of testimonies about helping IBS. And so I was like, you know what, maybe this is what I need for this. What I wasn't expecting and what I didn't even realize how badly I was struggling was with depression, anxiety. I didn't even realize I had it. In fact, I could see it in my oldest daughter, Ashley, but I didn't see it in myself, which it's kind of hard to talk about, because now going back with a healthy mental state, I can see that my cycles were weighing very heavily on her cycle. Like I'm talking like mental cycle. Like I would feel fine. Something would trigger. I'd fall down into a pit and I'd start swirling that toilet. And I would see it in her because she would mirror my stress and my anxiety. So it wasn't until I started feeling that like calmness and happiness again, and that cycle got disrupted and it stopped. That's when I noticed that I was struggling as much or more as my daughter was.
That's kind of how I felt. It was very reflective, because when you're in the moment, you honestly are just in like this weird survival mode where you just don't care. Like
Well,
you're just like,
you
I'm
don't
just
care
in it.
because you just have to get to the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, I just was like, the kids are fed, they're all alive, we're fairly happy.
Yep.
We can do it again. I'll just do it again in the morning. Like I just was doing everything and that I could do to just be. And I figured that's just the way it was. I mean, I had a lot of kids. My husband traveled all the time. I had a baby when I was almost 40. I just was like, this is just life now. This is just how it's going to be. And I didn't realize that there could be a different way. So it was, I started sleeping better through the night. Like that's another thing. As a mom, I think we think we're supposed to be really light sleepers because we wake up so easily to hear the babies and we wake up so easily to hear kids. But actually, we're not supposed to be such light sleepers. We need that deep and dark and deep sleep. We need that. And I was not getting that deep sleep. I was waking up probably 7, 8 to 10 times a night, even just to like wake up, listen for a second, and then fall back asleep. I just was getting interrupted sleep the whole time. And now I sleep so deeply that I could rival my teenage daughter. Only difference is I can wake up to an alarm clock. She still can't. But I sleep deep. And I didn't realize that could even be I didn't realize that could be an option. Do you know what I mean? I just thought that's the way I was. That's the way I was wired. So sleeping really deeply, having enough energy to get through my day with a smile on my face, and not feeling sick to the point of having to throw up or wait to go to the bathroom. I was not regular. So I was either taking stool softeners or some kind of laxative to help me go. And I'd build up. I'd be one or the other. I'd either be really backed up or I would have diarrhea because I've taken enough stool softeners to get me going. So it was just like one or the other. So who knew pooping was going to be such a huge thing in my life? And who knew that having good night's sleep was going to affect the way I saw everything? The bloating, the cramping totally subside. I still have to be careful what I eat sometimes, but I can eat so many things again. I can have some dairy. It does not kill me. I can eat some breads. It won't kill me. And that's all because of plexus.
How much Probio 5 do you take a night?
I vary between 3 and 4. And I have taken Vital Biome, and I don't take that regularly either. Ashley, my daughter, takes Vital Biome, and she does wonderful on it. I didn't feel like it helped me as much as just the ProBio 5 does. So.
Should you take more of that instead? That's similar to what I take, between 3 and 4.
Yeah. I'm a major dose of BioCleanse. I take between 4 and 6 on a regular basis. For sure 6 when I travel anywhere, but always daily, probably 5.
You divide that or take it all at night? Divide it?
I take 2 in the morning and 3 at night. And that usually keeps me nice and good, like a poop emoji.
Does anyone have any questions for Megan before we wrap up?
Hi, Megan.
Hi, beautiful.
Hi, I love you. Thank you for sharing your story. I have a question. What?
I said, thanks for letting me be on your call.
Yeah. So I have a question. Since you were either at one extreme or the other, how long did it take you to titrate up to like 3 or 4 ProBio 5? And then, like, did you start with a lot more BioCleanse and then start to add ProBio 5?
Yes, I actually did start with, I think I started with 3 or 4 BioCleanse from the get-go, but I started with 1 ProBio 5. And I worked up slowly because I knew I had a candida problem. That was the problem the time before, and I knew that it was an issue. I was a sugaraholic, and Diet Coke. I mean, those are my 2 go-tos all day long. When I started feeling sluggish, I'd get a Diet Coke and I'd get some Good and Plenty's or some other kind of like candy, chewy, anything. I just really lived on sugar. So I knew that was going to be an issue, and I didn't want to hit that die off again. So I needed to get my bowels moving on a regular basis. And it took probably, I would say 3 months really to feel like I could see a difference in my digestion. I noticed some things a little quickly, like I wasn't having as much cramping and bloating, but it was still occasional. So I just had to be really consistent with making sure I was taking BioCleanse. And then I upped my ProBio 5 as directed by Lee. So I started with the 1, and then in a week I did 2. A week I did 3, and I went up to 4. Actually, I stayed at 2 for quite a while, and I was feeling good, but I still was having those major sugar cravings, like they weren't going away. So we started playing around and going up and down. And so I went all the way up to 4 and then back down to 3. And so but with both BioCleanse and ProBio 5, I use it on a sliding scale. Like I decide if I'm feeling like, okay, I didn't go to the bathroom as many times today as I feel like I needed to, or I should, I'll up BioCleanse the next day. Or if I went plenty, maybe a little too much, I slide that back down 1 to 2. And I do the same with ProBio 5. If I feel like I'm still having some major sugar cravings, I take an extra ProBio 5 before I go to bed.
And so when you upped all of your ProBio 5, did you ever have an issue with getting constipated through that process?
No, I didn't, because I moved it up slowly, and I was being really consistent with my ProBio 5.
Okay.
I did have a period of really painful bloating, and I was traveling, and I called Lee, and I was like, something is wrong, like way wrong. My stomach hurts so bad. I'm so bloated. I don't know what it could be. And she was like, trying to go through, like, troubleshoot with me. And she's like, what have you been eating? Where are you? Are you at home? And I just realized, like, when I'm traveling, I have to up my ProBio 5. My BioCleanse. I need to up it, so that I just always get, I don't know why it is, but I just always have issues when I travel. So from then on, I just automatically up my ProBio 5 to 6.
BioCleanse.
BioCleanse. That's the one.
Yeah, so often people will up their ProBio 5. Now you have me off. When during the holidays, because there's so many tempting treats, and the more you kind of eat a little bit, and that's not regular throughout your diet, the more your body will crave it. So during the holidays, to be preventative, you can add more ProBio 5, and you'll just always want to up your BioCleanse corresponding with that, because you don't want to be traveling like I did last weekend. I noticed a difference, and I also needed more BioCleanse. And on a girls' weekend, I added more ProBio 5 because it kept me from wanting everything. Not that I didn't indulge some, but it kept me from being like, give it all, because the feelings come back quickly and then you just don't feel good.
No. In fact, the day I got on the cruise, I hit like a major bloat. I'm like, what is going on? And I don't know what I was thinking, but I only brought enough BioCleanse to have 5 a day. And I needed 6. So I ended up taking more at the beginning of my trip and running out, which was better than suffering through it, because I just was eating different foods plus traveling, and I was eating more junk food. I have noticed also though with this time of year, and I added in these times, I've added block, and I take 2 block at night, actually, not with my biggest carb meal, but I take them at night, and I feel like that also helps aid the ProBio 5 with my sugar cravings. So, because I don't feel you really only should be taking 4 ProBio 5 maximum. I know that there's some people that take more, but not for a long period of time.
Like maybe more to clean out the yeast and then settle back down.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it is 6:36, so we need to wrap up. But thank you for coming on tonight, for sharing your story. I love hearing it.
Thanks for inviting me.
To ask you all these questions and to kind of troubleshoot with you, because I know a lot of people struggle with that and need to know how to titrate up and down. And just understanding kind of your journey was awesome, because a lot of people do start and get frustrated and stop, where you're like, is this even working? That's why knowledge is so important, researching the products and the ingredients to really know what you're putting in your body and why it's preventative, and why if we use it as a tool in the best way for our own body, how amazing it can be to help us with our health goals.
And I think another really important part was that I was open to having somebody coach me and not doing it alone. I feel like, why do people want to do this behind closed doors? Why are they so nervous to let people know that they're even trying it? They want to do it without any help. They don't want to talk about it. They just want to try it. But I feel like you can run into a lot of issues that way and then give up, because you can hit a die-off like I did, or a major detox and not know what's going on, or not know that that's normal. You'll just think, that's not good for me.
Or just like a neutral zone, right? But if you're open and you're talking about it, or you're sharing about it, or you're helping other people, it kind of helps you navigate through the process and have more hope in the long-term process.
Definitely.
Versus just wanting the short term, which everyone just thinks skinny is healthy and happy. But as we know, it's not that way. But feeling good about your body is good. Feeling less inflammation, feeling less bloat, feeling all of those does feel good. So I will let you guys get back.
And I lost all that baby weight. So when I started Plexus the second time, I really wasn't in it for weight loss, because I had been super strict exercising. I was eating a really strict diet, but I was still having my mental issues, and I was still struggling with the bloating and the cramping and the being sensitive to food. So I knew that it wasn't just weight that was holding me back anymore.
Or that you couldn't just fix it through diet.
Yeah. Nope, I was definitely missing out on the nutrition that I found with Plexus. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
See you next week.